Well, hi there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me today for another live Q&A session. Today is January 17th, 2023. And it looks like we already have quite a few people in here, so thank you. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some tips and tricks and techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business. And I answer your questions in these weekly Q&A sessions. If you're not new here, then you know that every week we have a new poll. And this week, today's poll is, which do you prefer? When you're looking for a new title, a new audiobook title to narrate, do you prefer royalty share plus, PFH, or pay for production? And the definition of these, if you're unfamiliar with these terms, is royalty share is when you share in the profits of each book sold. So there's no upfront cost to the author. You just share in the profits, right? 20% for the narrator and the author for every book sold. Pay for production, or PFH, as we lovingly refer to it in the business, is you get paid per finished hour for the book, right? A certain dollar amount. Knowing that each finished hour includes all the narration, all the editing, all the formatting, all the mastering within that finished hour. So a finished hour is 9,300 words, but roughly for easy math, we say 10,000 roughly, right? So for each 10,000 words-ish, right, that includes the narration, which could take twice as long as an hour for each hour, right? Because you have retakes, and if you're doing punch and roll, you got to go back and re-record over your mistake. If you're doing the clicker thing, it's still going to take you some time to narrate it. And then another, depending on your skill level, another hour to 5 hours to edit it, master it, and format it properly for audiobook narration. All of that done so that potential, 10 hours worth of work is one finished hour. And then royalty share is sort of a hybrid between the two, where it's usually a smaller per finished hour rate plus royalties going forward, shared with the author on every book sold. So let's see what everybody says. So far we have about 22 votes, and it looks like 5% of you said royalty share is what you prefer. 18% said royalty share plus, and 77%, vast majority, said pay for production, PFH. That's kind of what I expected it to be. Although I think if you're just getting started out, I wouldn't really make that determination, really. I would take really anything that was interesting to me and that I could do, that was suited for my voice and, my comfort level with the content. I would take any of them, right? I would say the majority of what I do right now is pay for production, or PFH. But I have done my fair share of royalty share and royalty share plus. And I don't think anybody here would, poo-poo one or the other, to be honest, because it's still dollars, right? Although I will have to say that royalty share, if you're looking for royalty share, it would have to be something that you are, let me back up and say royalty share. I would do royalty share if there was a following for the author. Perhaps they have a social media following that the book is already selling well, that it has good ratings. But really, I wouldn't even say that would be the only caveat. I would still do it if the book was interesting to me. I've always said that I have enjoyed narrating books with indie or debut authors, right? If this is your first book, I'm all about helping new authors getting started. So I'm not, a ratings snob or anything like that. I just love helping new authors. because I appreciate, the work that it takes to go into creating this, right? Anyway, enough blah, blah, blah. Let's hop on over to the comments. Let's see who's here. Who's here first? Christy Lynn. Christy Lynn's first in. Hello, Christy. Hello, Angela. I would prefer PFH, but haven't managed to land one of those yet. And it'll come. It'll come. Just keep auditioning. Chris VGL says, you should have more options on the vote. Maybe in all of the above, perhaps? I would take all three options into consideration. Then again, I'm used to royalty payments as an author. For sure. I was trying to I find when I do an all of the above, people just take that one. I really wanted to get a pulse, not an easy out. Not that all of the above is an easy out, but I really wanted to get an idea of what, if you had to choose one, which one would it be? So that's why I didn't give an all of the above. But you're right. I wouldn't turn my nose up at any of them. Christy Lynn VO to Chris VGL says that makes sense. Having those royalty share jobs could help supplement income between PFH jobs. And that is 100% true. 100% true, because royalty share is shared for at least 7 years on every sale of the book, right? Nothing wrong with that. Chris VGL to Christy Lynn VO says, royalty share is a numbers game, is publishing books. The more you put out, the more you make over time. Yeah. And the same goes with the audiobook versions, right? Christy Lynn VO says, this is true. I'm just starting out, so I've yet to build up to that. My first was just published about 2 weeks ago. Sold 21 copies so far, so not so bad. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for 2 weeks. Eric is here. Hello, Eric. Good morning. Hello, hello. You know my thoughts on the poll. I prefer PFH, but anything while starting out is a resume builder and practice for perfection. Yeah, and that is still true for me 4.5, 5 years later. You're still growing and learning and experimenting with new ways and getting more comfortable with your voice in the process. You still get better and better and better as you go along. Brenna Castor is here. Good morning, Brenna. Yay, finally here during the live. Well, good to have you. Good to have you. Glad you're here. Christy Lynn says, this is pretty off topic, but I was wondering if you'd mind sharing what software you use for your broadcasts. Oh, I use StreamYard for broadcasting, and I like it. I like it a lot. It's super, super easy. It's got all kinds of little animated functions, and I can show the comments on the screen. It's pretty cool. I really like it. Hat Powser's here. Good morning. Good morning, Hat. Nice to have ya. Kim Wolf voiceover. Good morning, Angela and everyone. I've only done 2 books so far, both PFH. The first one just went live this weekend. Yay! Congratulations. However, I'm very open to royalty share and royalty share plus to build my resume. Absolutely. And even if you're seasoned, meaning that you've been in this for a few years and maybe have 50 to 100 books under I'd still do royalty share. I would still do it. Pamela McDonald says, hi from San Pedro, California, all clear and sunny at the Port of LA. Well, we've got your storm. It came overhead yesterday and the day before. It rained all day yesterday. So it's a little bit cooler, a little cloudy today here, but I'll take it. Hat says, congratulations. Yep. At Kim. Yes, congratulations, Kim. That's something to celebrate for sure. Kim says, thank you. It was very exciting. Absolutely. Rustic Hillbilly is here. Good morning. Morning. Glad you're here. Steve Gillespie says, hello from Oklahoma. Hello, Steve. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Anthony is here. Good morning. Great to be here. Great to have you, Anthony. Glad you're here. Phil. Hi, Phil. Hey, Angela, what's new? Not a whole lot. Just the same, trucking on. Just trucking. Royalty share plus. Yes, did I say something different? Did I not say royalty share plus? Did I say something goofy? Sometimes my mouth just runs away. I probably did. Elizabeth says, "Hi, Angela. Fiverr added a few of their own questions to the requirement page. I noticed that. I already have my 5 to 6 mandatory questions on that page, though. Should I cut some so clients don't have to answer so many?" Um, I have considered the same, but I'm not. I'm leaving my requirements because my requirements are very specific to my needs, and I don't know how long Fiverr's questions are going to be there. I think they're trying to take a pulse on clients. I think this is going to be a temporary thing, to be honest. I don't know for sure. Don't quote me. I don't know for sure if it is or not, but my feeling is this is a temporary thing. Fiverr is trying to find out because there was some talk a while ago about them standardizing rights usage for voiceover. And I think they're trying to take a pulse on our clients and what they're using these for, right? So I would say to leave your requirements as they are and just, I'm kind of in a wait and see kind of a phase. That's where I'm at. That's a good question, though. Mark is here. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Angela. I have an ACX account, but never got around to really using it. My main focus has been Fiverr, but the 2 audiobooks I've done in the past were a lot of fun. Would like to try more. They are a lot of fun. They are a marathon. Audiobooks are work, but they are fun, especially if it's something that interests you, right? I like to do a lot of nonfiction because I like to learn. I like to learn and grow and just be a fountain of useless information in conversations with people. But, I do mostly women empowerment, child rearing, a lot of like homeopathic sort of things. I love to do that stuff because you just learn new stuff all the time. It's super interesting. But JCCAOL is here. Hello, morning. Morning. Phil, I definitely prefer Royalty Share Plus. Finished hour will be covered and the 60-40 profits between Audible and the RH, then 50% of the 40 between the RH and the narrator. Absolutely. So I typically say that from what I've seen, Royalty Share Plus is usually suggested by either the author or the narrator if the book is sort of on the longer end, right? Like anywhere from 70,000 words plus. That way, the narrator is covered for their time. And because 70,000 words, that's roughly a little over 7 hours finished. That's a lot of work. So Royalty Share Plus would be ideal for something like that. That's usually when I see it, and the book is on the longer side. But everybody's definition of long is probably different. Charles Pulaski says, "Hi, Angela. Thanks for your encouragement. I appreciate your you can do this motivation. It's been a slow start for me, and your shared experiences have kept me going." Good. I'm really glad. I'm really glad. That's why I do this. I think a lot of it has to do with mindset. That goes for any business that you're starting, right? You have to have the right mindset. You have to have a positive mindset because you can't come in to build something with like a self-defeatist attitude, right? I can't do this because of this, or I can't get here because of this. You're just holding yourself back with that kind of mindset. You have to have, I got this. One way or another, I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to make this work. You have to. So thank you for that, Charles. Hat Powser says, "Thanks for that definition of Royalty Share Plus. At Phil, I've really been wondering about how it's split." That is how it's split. Yeah, usually when that's Royalty Share Plus, you discuss with the author what that pay for production rate is going to be. And then you'll usually get that when the book is complete, right? And then going forward, after that is done, after that payment is accepted, then going forward with every sale of the book, you share in the profits, which is 40%, right? Audible gets 60%, and then the narrator and author share the 40%. So 20% to you, 20% 20% to them. My mouth is not having a good day today. They're not communicating. Chris VGL says, should genre be a factor in what you decide for payment? It could be. I guess it all depends on what you're comfortable with. I can tell you from just being in this industry and in the circles that I'm in and in my own personal experience, I have found that if we're talking about like spicy stuff, I could tell you that from my understanding and experience that spicy stuff does pay very, very well. Most of the time it is royalty share, but it does pay off because those are very popular and they're usually on the shorter end, right? Most of those are a half an hour to maybe 2 or 3 hours, right? So that's an ideal genre for royalty share. But do what you want, whatever genre you're comfortable with. Kirk is here. Howdy. Hi, indeed. I prefer PFH, but it's nice to have the royalty share royalty share plus sitting there earning over the long run. At this point, though, we'll limit myself to short, medium royalty share. Long ones have questionable return. And I think that is why royalty share plus is probably ideal for the longer ones. Unless, it's got stellar reviews and a huge social media following and lots of like rabid readers, right? Yeah, but I would still do any of them. Phil says, at a hat, no problem. Chadwick is here. Good morning, Chadwick. Good morning, good morning. Jazzer, 789. Good morning. Just starting to explore the possibilities. I just created my ACX account. That's great. That's first step. First step in setting up accounts. Hat says, have you ever helped to promote a book, such as appearing on podcasts as proxy for the author? No, I've never promoted a book like that as proxy for the author. I think when I was doing a lot of royalty share in the beginning, I would say, get onto social media and be like, hey guys, check out this new book. Trying to promote the book, of course, because you as the narrator for royalty share plus, I mean, that's money coming to you and the author. You should promote it. You should help in promoting it for sure. But I've never done that for the author. No, I've never been asked to. Have you? Interesting question. Shadow says, hello, Shadow. Ralph Tolles is here. Good morning, Ralph. Good morning, Angela and fellow Agilians. Greetings from Fresno, California. I haven't reached a decision yet to engage into doing audiobooks. They are fun to do, I guess, if you're sick and twisted like I am, but they are a lot of work. But I enjoy them. I enjoy audiobooks. You know what? Let's check the poll really quick. Let's try to remember where we left off here. Okay. Because I always forget. So today's poll is, which would you prefer when you're searching for a new audiobook to narrate? And again, I didn't include in all of the above because I didn't want to give you an easy out. I really want to know if you had to pick one, and essentially you do in the end, right? You got to pick one over the other. What would you pick? Would you pick royalty share plus, or pay for production? So let's see what everybody says. So far, we have 43 votes. 9% of you said royalty share, 23% of you said royalty share plus, and 67% of you said PFH. So it looks like royalty share plus is gaining some traction. I think I'm just spitballing here, but I think that perhaps that is because maybe we didn't understand the definition of royalty share plus. So if that is the case, I'm glad in that respect I could help kind of demystify the definitions of royalty share plus, and pay for production. I sure as heck didn't know in the beginning, like, what is all of this nonsense? But I'm glad I could help in that respect, if that is the case. Where do we go? Here we are. Brenna, good morning. Good morning. Eric, good morning. Kirk, Carrie. I always forget, am I saying that right? I know you've told me probably a handful of times now, or every time I say Carrie, I always ask, is it Carrie or Carrie? Angela, stop. Okay. How much does a narrator pull in monthly on royalties realistically? I have 2 royalty books under my belt that only pay approximately $50 per month. Is it worth it? Um, there's a lot of variables in there. I really can't give you a realistic, because it's going to be different for everybody. Because not everybody's going to want to do spicy books. Not everybody's going to want to do religious books. Not everybody's going to want to do nonfiction. Not everybody's going to want to do fiction. Not everybody, you know what I mean? So, and not to mention that the price of the book, the cost to a consumer of the audiobook is going to depend largely on how long it is, right? What is the length of this book? That is what determines the price of the book. So, being that there are books that are 20 minutes long and then books that are over 36 hours long, it all really depends on, what kind of book it is, how well it sells, how long it is, and how many books do you have under your belt. I've heard of some narrators that all they do is royalty share, and you're going to have to keep doing them because, again, each audiobook is only available for, like, the contract, I think, is 7 years. So you have to keep adding books to your revolving, I can't think of the word, but I think you know what I'm talking about. So as a book expires, you have 1 or 2 to replace it, right? So obviously, the more that you do, the more money you're going to make, because you might have one that sells a whole lot better than you ever anticipated it to, right? Because the sales is another variable. You can't really determine how well they're going to sell. All you have to figure that out is looking at the author. Do they have a following? Do they have a bunch of other books that they've done that, readers are just, their minds are blown every time a new one comes out? Is it a brand new author? I mean, there's a lot of variables here to consider, but if you have enough royalty share books and, a handful of them are selling well and you're doing more and more and more, you're just adding, more money to the kitty every month. So potentially you could make a lot of money doing that, but you just have to keep at it, right? But I'd say for 2 books, $50 per month isn't that bad. So I would say, good job, you. It's working, right? But I don't want to ask anybody here to share what they make either, because I don't know. Asking about how much people make is kind of oogie, in my opinion. John O'Rourke says, what is a good PFH rate range for newer narrators? I started out at 50 per finished hour because I was still new. I was still learning and growing, and I wasn't very I was confident enough to do it, but I wasn't super confident in my skill yet. Right. So I didn't want to charge an author for my inexperience. Right. And then as you grow and learn and get more and more experienced, then you increase your rate. But you can start at 100. You can, whatever you want to start at. Right. The industry rate is about $250 per finished hour. But I started at 50. But you start at whatever you want to. There's no like set limit. Claire says, haven't done a paid job yet. I'm in the process of recording my own novel and have learned much from you. Cool. Thank you for all you've done. I think I saw a video where you showed the file structure. Yes, I think I have a few of them where I go over just recording an audiobook, like Audition, and even an audiobook from start to finish, showing, how all the files are formatted and named and things like that, for sure. Ruthie is here. Hi, Ruthie. Hi from chilly Chattanooga. Glad to have you. John Popovich. Good morning, Angela. PFH. I would rather just get paid, and if the book sells, fair play to the rights holder. Yeah, you won't see any royalties, but people will see your name as the narrator. Yeah, fair play to the rights holder. For sure. Chosen Light Heart. Hi from Colorado. Well, hello, Chosen Light Heart. I'm just starting out and I was wondering, what advice do you have for strengthening your voice? I'm so exhausted, perhaps. Practice. It's a muscle, just like anything else. You got to work it out by practicing and doing. Shadow, do you have any advice on a first demo for Fiverr? I don't even know what to say. I would do sample scripts for ads, but I try to be quiet since I live with others and don't like being heard. That is real, especially if you're, I totally feel that in my bones because I'm an introvert. And I don't, still to this day, I still get self conscious when I know that people are in the house and can hear me. Even though God knows how many people are actually hearing me in the final product, but that part doesn't bother me so much. It's my family hearing me in the next room. I don't know why that is, but I totally feel it in my bones. But you do have to get over it because being a voice actor, you're not going to get hired for much if you're, timid and barely talking into the mic. You're going to have to project. You're going to have to do it all in, Shadow. But as far as a first demo, you can, I would say wherever your sample scripts are coming from, I would write your own, and add your own, verbiage to it and just create something, just record something and then use that as a demo to start with. Depending on what kind of a gig that you're starting with, it could be, audiobooks, it could be animation, it could be commercial ads, it could be really anything, but just write your own if you want to. Just say something, just record a few things and practice, 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 and then take the best of what you've come up with and then compile that, take 10, 15 seconds of something and, maybe 3 different things and compile them into a demo and then use that. And then you can always refresh that or replace it with something better because you inherently just get better as you go along and practice, right? So you can refresh those demos as you get better. But I think my first demos were just that, you just make up your own scripts and make a demo. I think don't overthink it. Just do it. Vaping Mike says, if an audiobook has 3.5 hours and paying PFH, how long would you say it takes to record? Less editing. Again, it depends on your skill level and how comfortable you are with, let's just say that you don't have to look up pronunciations. You don't have to work on character voices, right? Again, there's a lot of variables to this. But it could take, for 3.5 hours, it could take 4 hours to record everything, if everything goes smooth and you don't have to cough or take a potty break or take sips of water. I don't think that's really realistic, but it could take 4.5 hours. It could take 8 hours. It could take 10 hours. It just depends on, if you don't make any mistakes, if you do make mistakes, there's just too many darn variables, but it usually rule of thumb is twice as long as the book is. So 7 hours to record the book, if you allow for retakes and stumbles and all of that kind of stuff. And then another maybe 14, 15 to 30 hours to edit it, depending again on your skill level. But I think now for me, I'm at about close to like a 2-to-1 ratio, where for every hour finished is about 2 hours of narration, editing, formatting, mastering is roughly where I'm at. But I didn't start there. It took me a long time to get there and to finesse my process, so to speak, to get comfortable with comfortable with my DAW and comfortable with the narration process. It takes a while to get there, but you can. Dixie Cryptid, 755 titles on ACX accepting auditions, 1.1 million producers fighting over those titles. It is very competitive. It could be, And I can tell you that not all 1.1 million producers are probably auditioning for all of those same titles. I'm a producer on ACX and I haven't auditioned for anything in a couple of years. The only times I've auditioned for something was when I was making a YouTube video. So I may be there, but I'm not auditioning. And that could also include some people who maybe have tried their hand at audiobook narration, but have not decided to continue and haven't removed their profile. So it is competitive, but I wouldn't look at those numbers and be afraid. I would still go for it. If you want to narrate a title, do not let the numbers discourage you. Just do it. Just audition for it. You never know. Just do it. Vaping Mike says, also, do you send your work out to an editor when done recording the audiobook? Nope, I do it all myself. I keep all of that fundage in-house. Unless I'm really in a pinch and I have, a handful of books to do and they all have, encroaching deadlines coming up, I may reach out to an editor for help from time to time, but 95% of the time, I do everything myself. Elizabeth says, great, that makes me feel better. Thank you, Angela. I just didn't want prospective clients to jump through too many hoops to place an order. Yeah, I've had a couple of clients mention those questions too, but I don't know how long they're going to be there. I don't know if they're permanent questions. I don't know. We'll see. Chosen Lightheart says, hi from Colorado. Well, hello. Just starting out and really excited, but I'm losing my voice and my throat feels strained. I've been drinking tea and cough drops, but I was wondering if you have any suggestions. Rest and hydration. You could even try one of those little personal steamer things that I'm seeing all over social media now. I got one myself for Christmas. Those are great for sort of lubricating, moistening, but really for me, rest and hydration. If your throat is strained, maybe you need to take more breaks in the narration process. I say maybe for me, 2 or 3 hours max. Doing anything, whether it's editing, narrating, whatever it is. I'm out of this chair and resting every 2 to 3 hours. Because it's not good to sit in your chair for that long anyway, right? Christy Lynn Vio says, can the narrator negotiate for Royalty Share Plus? Absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't realize that it was something that could happen. I guess I was just of a mind to accept whatever came in at this point. You absolutely can. Let's say a rights holder approaches you with an offer. And it's a book that's maybe 7 or 8 finished hours. And you would feel more comfortable accepting that offer if it was Royalty Share Plus. You can send that rights holder a message back and ask them if they're open to Royalty Share Plus. It could be that they didn't know it existed or didn't know how it worked or anything like that. And maybe you guys can come to an agreement. Absolutely, you can. For sure. 100%. Hat Pauser says, so when uploading book samples, do you think we should use very well-known loved books to get the good feelings going? Or is that a no-no? You can use auditions that you do as book samples if you want to. You can use books in the public domain. I wouldn't say it's a no-no. ACX themselves say that you can grab a book off your shelf and just read it. I think the problem with well-known books is like, if you yourself go through and listen to the demos, and you come across a handful of new narrators, and all of them are narrating the first chapter of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, right? So think outside the box. It's not a no-no, but I would just say do some auditions and then use those auditions as book narration samples. Just make sure that you title your auditions appropriately. Don't title your auditions, your book samples as my audiobook demo, because that doesn't tell the rights holder anything about what kind of narration it is. It just says it's an audiobook demo. Chances are they're not going to listen to it. if they're looking for a narrator who can handle, let's just say, spicy books, right? My audiobook demo, the title doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't tell me if what I'm listening to is an example of a spicy book. It doesn't tell me whether this is an example of a children's book. This doesn't tell me anything. So if you're uploading a sample to ACX, make sure it's titled appropriately. This is this kind of book and this is this kind of read. Use an adjective, right? This is a buttery female nurturing mom tone narrating, a sci-fi piece, whatever it is, but be descriptive. So whoever's looking through all of the myriad of book narration samples in there, they can get the gist of what it is that they're looking for by looking at your title. I hope that makes sense. It was sort of a tangent. Harley's here. Hi, Harley. Hi, Angela. I'm new, still in the procrasti-learning phase, but theoretically going full-time. Question: how understanding are authors and rights holders about taking time to complete a book? 99% of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, they're pretty understanding. Because if they're experienced authors or rights holders, they'll know that audiobooks take time. It's not something that you could just crank out and expect quality from, right? They take time. The narrator needs to rest. They need to edit. They need to, right? So usually rights holders are okay. And if something comes up where you're sick or you're taking a vacation, as long as you're communicating that to the rights holder, because we're human and those things happen, most of the time they're pretty understanding about that. There have been just a few times where I've had publishers or rights holders reach out to me and expect something that was, in my opinion, impossible to do. But I think it's because they just don't know, right? They just don't know that audiobooks take time. But for the most part, I have found that they're pretty understanding about the time it takes to create an audiobook. Claire says, my novel is 89,000 words, a marathon for sure. Yeah, so that'll be just about 9 finished hours-ish, that's a marathon. Rest, hydrate. After narrating my own book and loving it, I'm set up to launch VO as another career. Good for you. Welcome to the VO family. Joey West says, good morning, everyone, from Southfield, Michigan. PFH is my answer because I'm just starting out with this. Am I correct doing it way if I do a short book? Ultimately, do whatever you're most comfortable with. But if it's a short book, I would still consider royalty share and royalty share plus. I would never poo-poo something. I would take it because, again, if you do enough royalty share books, all of that money is paid to you every month, right? In between PFH books. So I would still do them. I wouldn't discount them at all. But do what you want to do. It's your business. That's the beauty of this. It's your business. Run it the way you want to. Christy Lynn VO says, do you think the longer ones sell less because the price of the book is based on how long it is? For me as an Audible member, no, because all it costs me is a credit. So I can get, and I'm sure a lot of other audiobook listeners on Audible, of course, view it the exact same way. If someone that is not an Audible member or on another platform, perhaps, although, for me, it's like I could get a half an hour book or a 36-hour book, and it just costs me a credit. So, either way, but I don't think so. I think if someone really wants to listen to a book, because if they're going to read it, then they're invested in the time it's going to take to read that big old book, right? I mean, if they really want it, they're going to get it. So I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that would deter anybody. Personal opinion. Craig is here. Hey, Craig. Happy Tuesday, Angela. About to hit the road. Just popped in to say hello. Well, thanks, Craig. Glad to see you. Harley says, at Chosen Light Heart, it will likely get better with practice. Tips I would have are 1, do a vocal warm-up and stretching routine. 2, relax and use your natural voice. Drink lots of water, too. Water. EPHS, spicy stuff, like books titled The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Habaneros. Yes. What were you talking about? Of course. Of course. Chris VGL says, most spicy books are between 40 to 80,000 words, but we don't have many people willing to read the books. I wonder why. Yes, I'm a spicy romance writer. That's interesting. So you don't have many people willing to read those books for spicy books? Most of the spicy books that I have personal experience with have been on the shorter side, up to maybe 20, 30,000 words. And I know that the longer ones exist, but interesting. I wonder why that is. With as popular as those are, I'm really surprised by that. Craig says, I see I'm in the minority with the poll. I like it because it lets me practice without the pressure. Full disclosure, I have a full-time job that supports that choice. I'm in for the long game. Yeah, and royalty share is one way to think about long game, although you need to refreshing those, right? Because they do expire or go away or have the potential to go away after 7 years. Christy Lynn VO says, Chris VGL, I would absolutely narrate the spicy stuff. I just haven't come across many of them to audition for some reason. Check your filters on ACX on what you're searching for, because I see them all the time. Every time I pop into ACX, that's mostly what I see. So I'm surprised by that. What is it We Hear FM? I think mostly what they do is spicy. Check them out too. You might be able to get on their roster. Check them out. I think it's wehear.fm, something like that. Steve, good morning, Steve. Very new to this. Start voice lessons Thursday. Good for you. That's a big step. Step in the right direction. Great job, Steve. Michael V says, but there was no I don't do audiobooks choice. Well, no, but I figured that everybody here today would at least consider doing audiobooks, right? Hence the title, Audiobooks. But I'm glad you're here anyway. Masonry Construction. Angela, just to be clear, ACX does not pay narrators directly, does it? We must rely on the author's honesty. Great question. If it's pay for production or royalty share plus, you will have to invoice the rights holder for that lump sum, that pay for production, or that, that aspect of it. The royalty share, that is collected by Audible and is paid to you directly via direct deposit. So royalty share, that part of it is collected by Audible and sent to you, directly deposited to you. If there's pay for production or PFH or royalty share plus, the plus part, that you need to make sure that you bill the author for. But there is a point in the audiobook making process that ACX will ask you, have you received your payment after you invoice the author, and then they pay you? And then you can click yes if they have, or don't if they haven't yet. And that sort of halts the process to not go forward at all until you are paid. But make sure that you set the expectation and the standard up front with the author, right? This is how I'm going to invoice you via PayPal, via whatever service you're using. This is how I'm going to invoice you, and this is how much it's going to be, right? If you do 50% up front and 50% later, make sure that you are transparent with the rights holder. It's only fair, right? Make sure that you both are on the exact same page when it comes to the payment terms, right? But yes, you and the author are responsible for that. ACX is not. The only thing they're going to handle is the royalty share payment collection. Good question. Chris VGL at Christy Lynn VO, take off your filters for books on ACX. When I checked yesterday, there are 6 pages waiting for audition. Yeah, I don't. And also keep in mind that a lot of rights holders, I have found, rights holders and authors don't take or don't check off all of the filters when they're uploading a book for auditions. So some of those categories or specifications will be undetermined. So if you're filtering for a specific book and the author has posted as one of those filters is undetermined or not checked, then you might be losing out on a bunch of books that don't have any kind of determination on gender or, accent or any of that. So use very little filters. If you want to see the difference, take off all of your filters and just see what comes up and go through them individually. Because if you have too many filters on, you might be, cutting out a lot of books that could fit what you're looking for. Carrie says, yes, Carrie is Carrie. Okay, good. Thank you. This is Anne Marie, actually. Oh, so you're just totally trying to mess me up. Thanks, Anne Marie. I'll still call you Carrie, though, if you want me to. I can do that. Christy says, Chris VGL, I'll have another look later. I didn't see them when I looked a couple days ago. Christy Lynn then says, I feel that. I had a friend ask me to do an accent in public, and I was like, I'm not comfortable doing that. I'm fine if I'm in my blanket for it because nobody can see me. Same. Tiffany's 80s Dream says, my comments keep getting deleted on here. Not sure why. I'm not sure why either. I'm not deleting them. Are you including links or anything? I think those get filtered out. Hang on. Let me see. Let me go look at YouTube. I don't see any retractions or anything. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not deleting them. Unless there's language in there that's, filtered out. I'm not sure. Sariki the Great. Hi, everyone. Been a while since I tuned in, but I needed some strong inspiration. Thanks again, Angela. You're welcome. Flattered you're here for inspiration. Shadow said, thank you. You're welcome. Chosen Light Heart. Thank you. Sorry for duplicate comment. Thought it first was deleted. No worries. No biggie. Christy Lynn VO says, for me, being new, it is taking me approximately 4 to 5 hours to record and edit a 20-minute chapter. I am getting better, and thank goodness for the ease of editing an audition. It does get better. I have gotten all of my editing process down to one pass. I find that a lot of people that are brand new to this will listen through what they've just recorded for one purpose, like removing retakes, and then they'll listen through it again, excuse me, for adjusting breaths. And then they'll listen to it again for pause, to make sure that the pauses are correct or long enough or short enough or anything like that. Reduce all of that down just to one pass. Go through the file one last time to make sure that all the retakes are out, that all the breaths are adjusted. If you're, you got a big, gigantic gasp in it, remove that. Make sure that, the room tone is there at the head and the tail. Do all of that adjusting in just that one pass, and you'll save yourself a whole lot of time. Tiffany's 80s Dream says, I am blogging on Medium under my author pen name. I just got a blog posted and a huge publication on there. I hope it opens a door to audiobook narration in the future. Have you seen that happen? Yes. Yes. Any kind of SEO, backlinks and blogs and all of that stuff definitely helps your website be found. And then if you're on social media directing traffic to your website, yes. If you're on podcasts directing traffic to your website, yes. That's why you need to be visible in any way that you can be, because that is a form of marketing. If you're not doing paid advertising, you want to do everything else that you can do to be visible. Otherwise, you're just another face in the world, or nobody even knows that you're there because there's just, so much going on and so many people in the world, obviously. So do all that you can to market yourself and all of these little things like podcasts and blog posts and, social media, everywhere that you can be there. Absolutely. Dangerman 777 says, "Hi, Angela. This is Cameron from UK. Any advice to get over imposter syndrome? I have a contract for a short book on ACX and have a few orders from Voices. I'm nervous about processing the file." Imposter syndrome is real and it still affects me to this day. But what I say is just punch that guy in the face and keep going. Whatever DAW that you're using to record and edit and process your files, there are a plethora of videos here on YouTube that cover just about any and every aspect of those DAWs. So, and if you're in a place where you can, hire an audio engineer to help you fine tune that, right? They might be able to help you with presets or equalizers that are beneficial to your sound or to your room. They can help you to sort of massage your sound, so to speak. But it is very daunting. It is very intimidating. But if I can do it, we've all been there. I know handfuls of voice actors that are in the exact same place that you're in now. You have things are starting to pick up, but you're still very kind of, uncomfortable with the way that you sound. I still am uncomfortable with the way that I sound. To this day, I'm still uncomfortable with it, but just do the best you can. And again, get an audio engineer if you really want someone to kind of come in, swoop in and save the day, so to speak. But I get it. It's scary, but you can do it. I have faith in you, Cameron. Tiffany's 80s Dream says, I wonder if it will. I'm not sure. Are you still having issues with your comments getting deleted? VoiceOver Klaus Kusaro says, "Hi, Angela. It's been a while. Thanks for your always helpful show. Glad you could make it. And you're welcome. I'm glad you're here." Tiffany's 80s Dream says, "Does pudding.com in your comment make it seem like spam in the live chat? I keep getting my comments deleted." It could be. I think that is just a YouTube chat thing that if you're putting links in, they won't be shown. They won't be shown because they may think it's spam or you're trying to direct traffic elsewhere or something. That could be it. Hat Pauser says, at Tiffany's 80s Dream, yes, that's it. I usually have problems putting links in chat. Yeah, I think that's typically what it is. Joy West says, wow, that was a mouthful for that audition sample. Would it be easier for me to tell what the title of the book is that I'm giving a sample of? You could, but if the consumer or rights holder doesn't know what the book title is or what it, you could say the book title, but if they're not familiar with it or what genre it is, I think you'd be better served just putting the type of book that it is, the genre, and the kind of read that it is. Because if you told me the name of the book, I might not know what genre it is, and I might skip over you. Right? Gregory says, I'm so sorry to join late, but if this question is in my line of but if this question is in my line, my question is, how is billing and payment normally done? Thank you for all you do. I think I answered this question right as you came in, Greg, but if for audiobooks and Audible, if it's pay for production or royalty share plus, the plus part, the payment, the lump sum that you get, you have to bill the rights holder for that, the author. You have to bill them for that. Any of the royalty share payments are collected by Audible and then are deposited into your bank account every month. That is how that works. Tiffany's 80s Dream says, at Hat Pauser, thank you for clarifying. I thought I was banned or something. No, I didn't ban you. I think it's just a filter setting, I think. Claire says, it's because family can hear you record that spicy content. I am open to that content. Yeah, if you have spicy content going on. It's kind of hard to do when the kiddos are nearby. Yeah. Joy West says, thanks for the short book answer, Angela, because I didn't know which one to pick. As a beginner, which type of audiobook should I choose? Choose something that speaks to you. I would say, 3 hours or less, 3 finished hours or less, 30,000 words or less. Because if you're enjoying yourself, if you're enjoying what you're reading, that's going to come through. It's going to be a little bit easier for you to read. I think for me, I was looking for mainly nonfiction because I wasn't very comfortable with my characters. I wasn't very comfortable with developing plot and all of that stuff that we're kind of unsure of in the beginning. So if you're talking about herbology or, backyard homesteading or something like that, then that would be a little bit easier, I think, to do in the beginning if you're unsure of everything, if that makes sense. That's what I would do. Hat Powser says, can you talk about what kind of invoicing system form you use, Angela? Or have you maybe done a video about that already? I want to say I have, but I use PayPal Business for everything. So I just send invoices for everything. If we're talking audiobooks for pay for production, I discuss with the author how I get paid, which is 50% upfront, and then the remaining 50% when the book is done. And I find that that will curtail any kind of people with ill intent, right? So if you're back to the comment earlier about trusting in the author, if you're upfront with the author and transparent upfront, this is how I do business. I collect 50% upfront, and then the remaining 50% is collected when the book is done. Anybody that doesn't mean well or is stealing somebody else's work or just trying to scam you is not going to want to pay that 50% upfront, right? They want to get it all for free. They want to scam you. So usually, I mean, if the author is legit, which haven't had a whole lot of issues with that, most of the time, 95% of the time, the authors are like, okay, great, send your invoice. Let's get started. Let's get this show on the road. But PayPal Business is what I use. And there you can have fully custom invoices and send those. So that's what I use. Kirk says, I have fun doing spicy books, but prefer MM as I've discovered that female heavy narrations are much harder on my voice. That said, I'm always open to both types. Ask Birdie, she knows. Birdie does know. Birdie does know. Yeah. Tiffany's 80s Dream says, so there's a payment to actually have the narrator narrate and a separate payment the narrator and author share with royalties. Is that right? For Royalty Share Plus, yes. The pay for production part, the plus part, and Royalty Share Plus is what you negotiate with the author, and then you bill the author for that. The royalties are collected by Audible for each sale of the book and then deposited into your account. Yes. Harley says, I know ACX has processes to help make sure you get paid. Do other platforms like Fiverr and Upwork have something similar? Yes. As soon as an order is placed or a contract is started, the Fiverr and Upwork, respectively, will collect that money from the buyer and hold it in escrow until the order is complete. And then they will release the funds to you when the order is complete. Mm-hmm. Masonry Construction says, sample suggestion, never voice a part made famous by James Earl Jones. I'm just saying, that would be hard to follow. And Morgan Freeman. And Idris Elba. And maybe a handful of others. Yes. Craig says, I will second the fact that Angela suffers from imposter syndrome. I'm still making you that Discord channel. I do. I think we all do in some respect. And that's completely normal and natural, human. But you just have to keep looking forward, having confidence and faith in yourself and believe in yourself and believe in your why and why you're doing this and knowing that you can do it and let that take you where it will. Knowing that you put in all the effort that you could, did all that you could, got all the training that you could, and then gave it your best try. and the universe will take care of the rest. Hat Pauser says, just punch that guy in the face and keep going. Facts. Punch fear in the face, because imposter syndrome, as I've said before, is a form of fear. It's that inner critic that tells you that you can't or you shouldn't, or punch that guy in the face. Say, no, not today, dude. We're going to do this. I don't care how long it's going to take. If there's something that I can't figure out, there's something I can't overcome, reach out to other people in this industry. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is the most warm and helpful and supportive industry I have ever had the pleasure of being part of. Ask for help. Get a mentor, get a coach, get an accountability partner, join Facebook groups, ask questions, and figure it out. Because there have been plenty of people before you in similar situations that have figured it out and have shared how they overcame it. It's just up to you to find out what that is and then learn it, embrace it, be it, and keep moving forward. Right? Just punch that guy in the face and keep going. Phil, for samples on ACX, what I've learned is you need the narration specs, like whether it's first, second, or third person, which genre, science fiction, horror, etc., male or female narrator, or both. For the titles, it would definitely help the rights holder or author find what they're looking for sure. But I think at the very least, what like genre and what kind of read it is, meaning what does it sound like? Is it spicy? Is it sad? Is it moody? Is it, just to give the searcher an idea of what this sample sounds like, if that makes sense. Elizabeth says, have you ever had a client who didn't pay their invoice, and how did you handle that? I have never had a client not pay their invoice. Not once. Not once. But I would imagine that you could probably sort it out with legal help, legal advice on that one, I would think. But I have never been in that situation, thankfully. Chris VGL says, fun tip. When working with a fiction RH, ask for their character profiles. 1, it shows they know the books and have the rights to the book. 2, it gives you a starting point to work from. Yeah, great stuff. If you're in conversations with the rights holder, ask them anything and everything about their book. Because you will have people, and this just happened to me yesterday, where someone approached me on a freelance site and said, hey, there's this book I really enjoy, this audiobook I really enjoy, but the narrator is way too fast. I would like to pay you to narrate it for me. Your samples are the pace that I'm looking for. And it's like a whole series of books, but they wanted to start with book 1. They were going into all these details. And I was like, okay, great. Do you own the rights to this book? Completely ignored my question and started talking about how much they like the book. And I had to ask them again, do you own the rights to this book? Are you the author? No, I want this for my personal enjoyment. It doesn't work that way. That is copyright infringement. It doesn't matter what the purpose of this is. If it doesn't belong to you, I can't do it. So asking those questions, will help you to suss out if the person is legit or not, right? If they have the rights to this book, if this is in fact their book, ask about what kind of accents do your characters have, character profiles, like Chris said. Right? Ask about anything in particular that you need to know before you get going and starting this book. If there's any special pronunciations, if there's any foreign languages, if there's anything in there that you need to know, ask all the questions that you can. Eric says, hey now, so you're saying not to do a Darth Vader impression for an audiobook? I don't know. I don't know how many audiobooks are out there with a Darth Vader narrator, Darth Vader sounding narrator. I guess if you wanted to, why not? Who am I to judge? Joy says, Angela, what type of audiobooks are considered to be PFH? What type of audiobooks are considered to be per finished hour? Any of them could be. It depends on what the author wants to pay or how they want to structure the payment. So, even if an author approaches you with a royalty share offer, you could say, would you be interested in doing per finished hour instead? And then tell them your rate. I mean, you can negotiate with anybody. It's just these are the different pay types in which an audiobook can be done, and you can negotiate any and all of these. It's a independent contractor contract between you and the audiobook author, right? So any book could be an hour to 10 hours, could be anything, any genre. Christy says to Craig, do you have a public VO Discord? Craig is in my platinum group that we meet on Thursdays, and he had mentioned last Thursday that I should get a Discord channel. And I told him that I already have multiple platforms where I make myself available to answer questions, and I'm already kind of spread thin, and I didn't want to spread myself any thinner by adding yet another place to have discussions and try to stay engaged, or engaging with people all the time. I felt guilty about how thin I was spread, and he said, no, let me do it, and let me what's the word? Manage? I can't think of the word. I'm an idiot. But no, not yet. I don't have one yet, but we were talking about it last week. Facebook user, that is Allie. Hey, Allie. She says, great advice. Joy says, sorry, Angela, I meant to say PFH. It's okay. I knew what you meant. It's okay. Craig says, Christy, I'm making one for Angela for VO artists who follow her, a place to hang out. As an avid reader, writer, and VO, I run a writer's Discord server myself. Well, there you go. Craig says it a whole lot better. Christy Lynn says, I think one of my struggles is classifying my voice. How do you know where your voice fits when you're new? That's a great question. And if you can't classify your voice, then just describe the type of read it is. I had the same issue. I think just by listening to other voices and determining that my voice is sort of on a lower register, then I thought, okay, how can I describe my voice? I'm not like way up here. I'm like a little bit further down here. So I could do like a nurturing, motherly, conversational. If you look at all of the filters on ACX, for example, there are tons of adjectives on there that describe voices. Look at some of those and see if any of those sound like they could be you, and then use those as inspiration. Or you could always post a sample or a demo in a Facebook group that you belong to where you're allowed to do this and ask for your fellow group members to tell you, hey, what do I sound like? How would you describe my voice? You could do that too. Jeff. Hi, Jeff. Curious about what your experience has been with authors requesting unspecified hourly rate. I've run across this a few times, and that it kind of goes back to what I was saying about being unspecified. If they wanted male or female, or if they wanted, an accent, if nothing was specified for that, then at the same time, maybe they're just testing the waters. They don't really know what to expect and are looking for opinions or bids, basically. So if you find a book that you want to audition for and the author has unspecified hourly rate, then audition for the book and then tell them your hourly rate. This is what I can do this for. This is my rate. That's what you do. Because they honestly don't know. They're open to bids, basically. Victoria says, I came across this video and I'm glued to it. Where can I start from? Well, Stay here on YouTube and soak it all in. There's a lot to learn for voiceover and audiobook narration. A lot. And there's a lot of variables. Everybody's got different situations, equipment, voice sound, studio spaces. There's a lot to learn. Soak it all in. Get a coach, a mentor, someone to help you along the way. There's a lot to learn. But welcome to the family, Victoria. It's addicting. This business is addicting. Allie says, good advice. Hello, Allie. What do you do when they agree to PFH, but then they don't pay you? Well, then I would say, depending on what platform you are on, I would definitely get that person or entity involved, right? And they don't pay you, that's the problem. And if you have to, get legal advice. I hope that hasn't happened to you, Allie. That would stink. Craig, you will have one very soon. Oh, gosh. Claire says, gotta go. Thanks again, Angela. Thank you so much, Claire. I've got to go too myself, so I'm going to try to run through these last comments very quickly. Michael V says, it sounds like Craig Michael Beck is volunteering to curate the Discord channel for you. Yes, he is, because he's the bomb diggity. People still say that. I brought it back. We're going to say it again. Bomb diggity. Joy West says, Angela, what are the average rates for beginners should charge when first starting out in audiobooks in a PFH situation? Again, I started out at 50 per finished hour, but you can start at whatever you want to. 50 is pretty much the minimum because, again, audiobooks are a lot of work. And for the potential hours that you put in for each finished hour of audio, you want to make sure that you feel that you are fairly compensated for your time. But you can start with whatever rate you want. Me personally, I was at 50 per finished hour. VoiceOver Van Deen says, did you see that Apple Books recently launched Apple Books digital narration for their in-house AI? The initial focus was fiction and romance with nonfiction and self-development in the pipeline beta. That's interesting. I have not seen that because I don't swim in the Apple seas. So I don't know how well that's going to go. I don't know if AI can ever truly emote. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see how that goes. But I didn't see that. But we all knew that was a matter of time, right? Hat Pauser says, what if I told you my aspiration is to be the next Nancy Cartwright? What would you tell me to do next? I'm not sure. I know the name, but it's not coming to me. Nancy Cartwright. Was she the one that did Bart Simpson? Or am I thinking of someone completely different? Oh my God. There shouldn't be any pop quizzes on live streams. I don't do well with quizzes. Victoria says, thanks. You're welcome. I wish I had an easy button for you and I could just hand you a list. Here, here's what you need to do. But there's just too many darn variables to consider. So just watch all of the videos that you can. Soak it all in. Just to get involved, join some Facebook groups, get involved and learn all you can. Craig says, I'm almost done with it. Oh boy. I'm sure we'll hear all about it on Thursday, right? Allie says, yup, ACX. Interesting. I'm sure you've gotten ACX involved. We'll have to talk about that. Christy Lynn says, have a great day, everyone. Yes, everybody have a great day. Craig says, SAG minimum is $250 per finished hour. That is, as I mentioned before, that is the industry rate. I am slightly above that at this point, and I am fine with that rate. I don't see my rate going up. I don't want to totally alienate like brand new authors. I want to still be affordable for new authors. So that's pretty much where I live. Chris VGL says, what platform is the Thursday meeting on? I'm in the Platinum group and would like to join this week. Well, every Thursday at 8:00 p.m. EST is when we meet, and it's via Zoom. And I send an email out about 10 minutes prior to the meeting with the Zoom link on it, with the Zoom link invite. So check your email, whatever email you use to sign up, and look for about 10 minutes prior to 8 o'clock p.m. EST, the invite link, click it, and then join the group every Thursday, except for Thanksgiving, I think is the only Thursday we never meet. Hat says, yes, Nancy is Bart and several others on that show, multiple award winner in voiceover. Yeah, she actually, I'm glad that my brain made that connection, and I saw her on TikTok, I think just the other day doing, most of her characters, and she's very impressive. And that for animation, cartoons specifically, I would say find a coach that does that, or find someone who does nothing but animation or does it really, really well, and pick their brain, work with them, see if they can mold you and show you the way to get into that specific niche, for sure. Because I have done video games, but mainly as myself, not really character work. So that's what I would do. DJ Overton says, I have a nasal voice. What narration work is good for that? I was having this conversation with someone else. I think it was earlier this week or last week, where they told me they had a nasal voice. They sounded nasally. And I said, no, you don't. I don't hear any nasal. I said, I think I have a nasally voice. Do I sound nasally? And I think some people said yes, and one person said no, or the other way around. Most people said no, and one person said yes, something like that. And it's because we're used to hearing our own voice in our head, right? And then we hear it outside of our head and it sounds completely different or bad or gross or cringy. But having that cringe effect is a completely normal process of this. I could not stand to hear my own voice in the very beginning, but you do get used to it and you do move past that. Punch that fear in the face and keep moving forward. You probably don't have a nasally voice. And don't tell yourself you do. Just do it. Just keep going. Joy West, is the Thursday meeting for all of us? It is for my platinum members on my website. It's $20 a month. We meet every Thursday. We're up to almost 2 hours. We average about 2 hours we meet for every Thursday night. It's very casual. Everybody brings a drink. We read for each other. We interpret each other. We give each other feedback on our reads. We listen to demos. It's a lot of fun, but we get a lot of work done too. But that is on my website, voiceoverangela.com, platinum membership. Christy Lynn says, I just joined the platinum group. Yes, you did. I can't wait to see you in our next meeting on Thursday. All right. And thank you for that. Can't wait to see yous. All right. That is going to be it for today, guys. I will be back next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. And I will see you all then. Everybody have a fabulous week. And I will see you next week. Bye.